Hello. So we've looked at differentiation. I've made a few comments about my thoughts on AI. I'd like to take the channel back to what we were doing before, which were practical techniques, nuts and bolts techniques that we can use in the classroom. And I've got in my mind maybe a batch of 10, 20, 25 clips. Maybe keep them a little bit shorter. As I say, very practical techniques that we can use. Let's do that for a while, eh? And the first one, a couple of ideas from chapters 1 and 2 of Understanding Teenagers in the ELT Classroom. I'd like to reiterate a point that I made, I think in the very first clip, about enjoying the class. Before, we're all out there trying our best in our classrooms, but classes can get on you. The strain of classes can take its toll sometimes. So that first question I'd like to pose again and remind you, when you're thinking about a class, to ask yourself the question, what am I going to enjoy about the class? What little thing, in the class will bring me satisfaction in a professional capacity, and that. And yes, that was something I talked about probably in length in the very first clip. I'd like to expand on that a little bit because I found an old artifact. A few years back, I was having a tough month, and I came up with the idea of something that I called my little book of sunshine. Primarily because I started keeping it in this yellow envelope, which is a little bit battered now. I've just dug it out of one of my boxes. What I did was, before starting my classes each day, I just made a note for each of the classes, something that I might enjoy about that class. You may think that's a nice idea. You may want to give it a try. You may think it's a little bit hackneyed or cliched. If so, I'm sorry. I can show you, give you an example. Let's have a look. So there was one day when I was teaching 4 classes, and the first one, it was an intermediate teens group. It says, I've listened to their audios and picked out individual pronunciation errors to feed back on. I'd like to see if they recognise their own errors and if they appreciate the attention. That was there. Can't see it very well. I'll read it to you. Okay, the second class was a kiddies class. I was looking forward to seeing if priming them with meaning from the verbs transfers to the verb worksheet in the activity book. I can't remember that, but obviously that was something that I was curious about. The tweens class next, I was looking forward to telling Miguel and Teresa they have passed the retake. Nice for them. And in the C1 class, I was looking forward to using the DVD again for another listening viewing lesson. I think there was some extended DVDs at the back. Can't quite remember what course book it was, but I was enjoying them. I was using them for the first time ever. If things get tough for you, you might want to think about starting your own little book of sunshine. Just to highlight, if you can pick out one thing that's going to be good about the next hour, then you have something to look forward to. So that's my first point. Second point is maybe in the class itself. One of the things I often point out is that we are often drawn to extremes. We're drawn to the very good students and we're drawn to the not very good students, the advanced students, the struggling students. Maybe we can ask ourselves before the class starts, who am I going to look for in the middle today? Is there a student that I don't often pay attention to much? I think in clip number 2 or 3, I talk about distributing our attention. Again, this is a slight reiteration of that. Extending that though, and we're not quite at the 5 minutes, which is what I'm going to try and make most of these clips from now on, just to make things slightly easier for you guys, is that when we talk about enjoying our lessons, what happens in most teenage classes is at some point there will be some nice things in the class. There will often be a challenge or something that's a bit annoying. And we have to be careful not to muddle those two together and allow the things that cause us tension to ruin are memories of the good things. So my advice is try to store the things in a different part of your brain. Try to remember them differently. If there are good things happening, enjoy those, write them down, things that are happening productively, because sometimes they don't create such a powerful, lasting impression as some of the more painful things. They can often stay with us and flavour our recollections of the lesson. So try to put them in a different place. Enjoy, the things that are happening gently, subtly, but in the right way. The things that are giving you satisfaction. Enjoy them in the moment. Remember them, and even sort of scribble them down, because the next moment might bring something else. Strength and energy with your teaching.